This is a complete disgrace to everything Kira stands for.
I find this so funny because I actually agree with him. Someone just straight up stole your whole identity. And as a great salesman once said,
"Identity theft is not a joke, Jim."
Welcome back, everyone.
Episode 12, Love.
So the episode starts off with a phone call from the chief to Light, wherein he relays the fact that Ryuzaki wants him to come in and help with the investigation.
Ryuzaki has decided that he'd like you to help with the investigation. If you're still interested, then you need to come here right away.
Okay, so right off the bat, I want to focus on the fact that the chief is really just, cool with Light joining the investigation. I mean, I probably should have mentioned this in the last video, but like, my guy, someone on this team literally just died a few days ago, and now you want to bring your child in on this? I get that Light gave a pretty impassioned speech back in episode 10, but I mean, things are different now. You have every reason to keep him away from all of this.
All along, I've been trying to find a way to get involved in the investigation, but I never thought they would actually approach me.
What are you talking about, Light? Elle literally approached you a few days ago asking you to join the investigation. Anyway, we then transition to headquarters where Light is introduced to the task force, after which Ryuzaki instructs him to take a look at the tapes sent by the second Kira. We then head back to the previous night where the members of the task force are discussing how exactly they're going to work with Light.
He may suspect that these tapes are the work of a second Kira, an imposter or copycat imitating the original.
And that makes sense. While Matsuda provides some pushback, claiming that there's no way Light could come to that conclusion without knowing that the victims on the first tape don't match Kira's normal MO, I would argue that Kira's killings have been so widely publicized at this point that Light should be able to figure it out pretty easily. I mean, there was a whole fucking website dedicated to worshiping him back in episode 2, which was over 4 months ago at this point. Plus, Light has already expressed the fact that he's interested in the investigation, which likely means he's done at least some investigating on his own. So, if Light is as good as Ryuzaki thinks, which, I mean, he is, then it wouldn't be that difficult for him to realize that the two criminals from tape number 1 don't fit Kira's normal MO.
Recall that Mr. Ukita was killed the moment he arrived at the station, and this Kira demanded only that I appear on TV, but made no request for my name. This implies that the second Kira only needs to see a person's face to kill them.
Okay, so this is something that I didn't think to consider. Misa really fucked up when she killed Ukita and those other two cops, because if she had let them live, then her whole thing about wanting Elle to appear on television would likely be considered mostly harmless. I mean, think about it. Ryuzaki has already shown his face to Light, the person he believes to be Kira. Aside from ruining his secret identity, it wouldn't really be all that big of a deal to go on TV. It's kind of the same principle as what Light did with Rei. Because Rei was under the impression that Kira needed a face in order to kill, he felt comfortable writing down the names. This is just the reverse of that, wherein Ryuzaki might have felt comfortable going on TV because he's under the impression that Kira wouldn't be able to do anything without his name. Granted, I don't think he'd ever actually go on TV, but my point stands that had Misa not revealed the fact that she could kill someone just by seeing their face, then it would have been the ultimate trump card later.
If he comes to the conclusion that there could be a second suspect, then he'd be almost completely cleared of suspicion in this case.
I'm calling bullshit. That is not enough reason to stop suspecting Light. I'm not sure if he means it or not, but I'm thinking that in this moment, he's lying to them. Why? I'm not sure. When asked by the chief why this would clear Light, Ryuzaki says,
"Logically, if he's really Kira, he'll want me dead. I can't see the real Kira jeopardizing such an easy opportunity to get rid of me."
And that does make sense, but in this instance, there's no real guarantee that you do it. Mostly because you have every reason not to do it. Like, honestly, the more I thought about it, the angrier I got about that bullshit. Because if they in any way force you to reveal your identity, then they're literally working for Kira at that point. Because I mean, honestly, why the fuck isn't anyone talking about how ridiculous this all is? How do y'all still feel comfortable working for an organization that would sacrifice civilians in order to save themselves? I mean, honestly, who the fuck are y'all protecting and serving? Because I'm not seeing it. Anyway, the reason I don't think he'd be less suspicious of Light is because he knows Light is smart enough to pick up on this. Light's just as smart as him, and he picked up on this being a second Kira relatively quickly. I feel like Ryuzaki would immediately see through Light's bullshit if he tried to pretend like he didn't know this was the work of a second Kira. If for no other reason than the fact that Light enjoys being cocky when he thinks he has the upper hand.
As soon as I said we knew he was in the Kanto region, he made sure his next victims came from within Japan, as if to say, "And what are you going to do about it?"
If you ask me, this is nothing more than a desperate attempt to shock Kira in the hopes that he'll reveal himself somehow. I wouldn't be surprised if Kira sees right through this.
I think Kira wrote these, and it seems he's encoded a message for you as well, almost as if he's mocking you.
Honestly, Light just can't fucking help himself. And if this was one of the last times he got to stun on L before he died, well, best believe he'd do it. Anyway, we head back to the present where Light is watching the video.
It's making me sick to my stomach. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm the real one, but this is a complete disgrace to everything Kira stands for.
I find this so funny because I actually agree with him. Not with him killing people, obviously, but I could definitely see why this would be aggravating to sit through. Someone just straight up stole your whole ass identity. And as a great salesman once said,
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
Anyway, Light, realizing this is a test, says,
It's hard to say for sure, but there might be another person out there with Kira's power.
Light goes on to say that, given the nature of the victim's crimes, and the fact that this person did not require knowing the officers' names before killing them, it seems likely that it's someone else entirely. Essentially, he comes to the same conclusion as Ryuzaki. This results in the task force saying,
It's the same. That's almost exactly how Ryuzaki said it.
And I just want to take a second to point out that line from Matsuda, specifically how he fucked up and called him L, even though he's not supposed to. This is part of the inherent issue of having Light around. These people are prone to fucking up. And I'm not saying it to talk shit about them, I actually really like Matsuda, but it's just a simple fact of the matter. They could unintentionally let something slip, and you really, really don't want to do that around Light.
I think he might even be willing to obey the original. If so, we could lure him into a trap by sending our own message from the real Kira.
And that actually makes a lot of sense. Typically, when someone chooses to idolize, or I guess in this case, emulate another person, they'll likely abide by what that person instructs them to do. Not in all cases, mind you, especially those wherein the copycat might be a little overeager, but in many instances, this makes sense. And it seems like a genuinely smart way to approach this.
Oh, and Light, I would like you to play the part of the real Kira. You're the only one I can think of who'd be able to pull something like this off.
Okay, I know I said that Light just can't help himself when it comes to throwing jabs, but Ryuzaki isn't much better. Just such a backhanded compliment, but I fucking love it. See, Ryu gets it.
Damn him. He must have been planning this from the beginning. It's the only reason I'm here.
I gotta admit, this was kinda brilliant. The flashback scene made it seem as though Ryuzaki had laid out his entire plan to the group, but this part was left out just so that we would be surprised alongside Light. Because not only does Ryuzaki want Light to write something as Kira, he's also giving him a pretty strict deadline, which opens him up to possibly making a mistake, such as revealing something that only Kira would know. So it's all of these factors. The fact that he has to emulate Kira, the fact that he has to be convincing to not only the second Kira, but also Ryuzaki and the team, on top of which he can't be so convincing that he actually lures the second Kira into a trap, thus possibly fucking himself over. All of this to consider while only having at most a few hours to write this response up. Anyway, we fast forward a few hours as Light shows Ryuzaki what he's written. Ryuzaki praises him on his work, but adds,
If we don't omit the part that says you're free to kill L, then I'm gonna end up dead.
The fact that he included that is just the fucking balls on this guy, man. I mean, I get that he was supposed to be pretending to be Kira, but it's also like, you're a suspect in the Kira investigation, so why include that? I think, more than anything, it's his demeanor that really throws me off.
Sorry. I guess I got carried away playing the part. Feel free to change it to whatever you like.
Because this just doesn't feel like a situation where your body language should be conveying that you're completely at ease. A member of this team was fucking murdered a couple days ago, bro. And you're just like, lols, my B. Like, fuck, man. You could at least pretend like you actually appreciate the severity of the situation. Anyway, we then fast forward to the broadcast. Oh, hey, it's that dude from episode 2, wearing the same suit with the same two people in the background. Huh.
The NPA has granted us permission to air this video.
Well, that was dumb. Why would they say that? That basically makes it crystal clear that this is a setup. I mean, what other reason would the police have in letting the two of you engage in any sort of dialogue whatsoever? The only way that makes sense is if they're in control of the narrative. But, I mean, what am I saying? Misa's not gonna fall for something like that.
It worked! I knew he'd answer me!
Oh, come on!
Seriously, Misa? What the fuck?
I am Kira.
Okay, two things. One, I'm not sure why they used the same voice actor who plays L to record this, because it just sounds like L from episodes 2 through 5. Alessandro Giuliana, the voice actor for L, has a pretty unmistakable cadence to his voice. Seems like they should have had I don't know, anyone else record it, because the fact that Kira sounds exactly like L should be a red flag in and of itself. And two, Misa, if this was from Kira, the real Kira, the fact that he didn't demonstrate his power should be a really big red flag. The newscaster didn't mention anything about this Kira proving their identity by predicting deaths. They're just playing the tape. This could literally be from anyone. Anyway, the broadcast basically instructs Misa to stop haphazardly killing people and await further instructions. The scene ends with Misa rushing to grab her camera so that she can respond to him. And I don't have much to say about this scene, but I do want to draw attention to old Rim over there, because what you looking at, bud? So we fast forward several days and join the task force just as Watsuri informs them that the second Kira has responded. Something worth noting is the fact that the show itself says it's been several days. So, like, did they just say fuck it in regard to the whole L or the director general thing, or what? Anyway, the second Kira starts the video off by saying that they'll do as they were instructed, which really kind of irritates Light.
How could you fall for something like this? Damn it.
And to be fair, that's a perfectly justified response. Misa is, well, she's Misa.
I don't think you have the eyes, but you don't have to worry. I would never try to kill you.
You need to shut the fuck up.
Like, why? Oh my goodness. I get that you think you're being covert, but there's just no reason to say something like that. You can't be talking about Shinigami eyes out in the open. Like, that shit was so startling that even Light had to physically check himself. And we all know how cool Light is under pressure. Honestly, he's lucky that Ryuzaki is in front of him and didn't catch that, because I'd say that would have been a pretty substantial red flag. Though, I guess, even if he was in front of him, Ryuzaki's a bit preoccupied at the moment.
When we meet, we can confirm our identities by showing our Shinigami to each other.
Why?
Would you say that? Come on, Misa, what the fuck? There's just no reason to say that shit. Just, oh.
He's a liability.
Our boy is looking pressed right now. Rarely do we see this man with sweat marks, but right now, this man is fucking sweating. However, meanwhile, you have Ryuzaki who's, well... Which is, okay. But I mean, to be fair, that's gotta be pretty daunting, especially considering the same verbiage has been spouted by two different individuals who both seem to have Shinigami-like powers. It's like one person saying something about Shinigami is like, they're probably fucking with me. But a second person with the same power also referencing the same thing? Well, I'd argue that his outburst is at least somewhat warranted, even if it is, unfortunately, a little comical. Mostly because Light's in the background like, chill bitch, even though he had a similar reaction when he met Ryuk. Anyway, welcome back to How to Use It. First up, you may also write the cause and or details of death prior to filling in the name of the individual. Be sure to insert the name in front of the written cause of death. You have about 19 days, according to the human calendar, in order to fill in a name. Okay, so the first part is obvious enough. We saw it back in episode 5. However, the rest of it, the fuck? About 19 days? What exactly is the difference between a Shinigami calendar and a human calendar? Honestly, sometimes it just feels like the Soul King, or whatever the fuck, the Shinigami King, just said fuck it with these rules, because, I mean, not to reuse a meme in the same video, but... Why? I mean, really, why? What was the thought process behind the whole 19 days thing? Anyway, the second one says, even if you do not actually possess the Death Note, the effect will be the same if you can recognize the person and his or her name to place in the blank. Again, episode 5. Moving on. So we come back to find that Ryuzaki is still on the floor, contemplating the idea of Shinigami and whether or not they exist. Everyone assures him that they don't actually exist, and I think it's great that they decided to include Ryuk in the background, as Light says.
Of course Shinigami don't exist.
Like, Light, you gaslighting little piece of shit. Anyway, the group decides that they will air the response and watch from the sidelines as the two Kiddas make their respective moves. Ryuzaki explains that the original Kidda will want to prevent the second Kidda from falling into the trap, which might result in the original Kidda doing something that might actually provide proof of who they are.
I've been thinking about what the second Kira might do if he gets no response. For one, he might reveal more information that he knows Kira once kept secret, to pressure him into a meeting.
And that's kind of interesting. We don't really know Misa yet, but it's clear that she's not one to put a lot of thought into her actions. I mean, she immediately went and grabbed her camera to make a response before Kira even finished with his broadcast. That alone shows a certain level of impulsivity that just doesn't mesh well with the situation she now finds herself in. So, I mean, who's to say she wouldn't get more aggressive if she didn't receive another response quickly enough? Anyway, we then transition to Misa at a photo shoot. The scene itself doesn't do too much for the plot outside of letting us know that when she's not moonlighting as a serial killer, she's also a model.
Yes, queen, slay!
Literally. Anyway, we then transition back to Misa's room.
For a Shinigami to give a notebook to a human, he needs to have two.
What? When did that become a thing? At what point was that ever stated? I mean, remember episode 4, where all those Shinigami were sitting around talking shit about Ryuk?
Maybe he was serious about losing his death note.
It was probably picked up by some human before he could get to it.
I actually heard he was carrying 2 death notes. Why would he need 2?
No one said anything about needing 2 notebooks in order to give one to a person. Someone mentioned Ryuk dropping it, and then someone else brought up the fact that he had 2, with a third Shinigami asking why he'd even need another one. So Rem either has to be lying or just, I guess, uninformed, which, to be fair, the damn how to use it states that these motherfuckers don't know shit about how this works, so I don't know, whatever. Maybe there's a difference between giving a notebook and dropping a notebook. I guess I could see that being a thing, maybe. Anyway, Misa asks Rem how she got her extra notebook, and she claims that she's one of the few Shinigami who knows how to kill another Shinigami. Misa then asks Rem if she can tell her how to kill a Shinigami, and Rem agrees, but not before saying,
"Never repeat this to anyone."
And yeah, we'll get back to that sooner than you might think. Anyway, apparently,
the only way to kill a Shinigami is to make them fall in love with a human.
And before we go any further, I'm just going to call that what it is, which is another lie, or maybe she's just misinformed again. It's like I never realized how wrong she is about shit. Like I thought Ryuk was unreliable, but Rem's over here just making shit up, it seems. Because love ain't got shit to do with it, but whatever, we'll get to it.
What a beautiful way to kill.
And just look at Rem. She's like, why would you say that? Anyway, Rem begins regaling Misa with the tale of the Shinigami known as Jealous, aka the simp Shinigami, because old boy was down bad. So apparently, Jealous spent the majority of his time watching Misa. Think of him like a basement dweller and Misa as an attractive Twitch streamer. However, Misa's stream was about to end permanently, because apparently, Jealous isn't the only one obsessed with her.
If I can't have you,
I'll kill us both!
And yeah, Jealous, watching this all play out, decides to intervene, which, according to Rem, is something Shinigami are never supposed to do. And for good reason, I guess, because in intervening and saving Misa's life, he inadvertently killed himself. Dude was just like, well, I guess I'll just die. But to be perfectly clear, he didn't die because he loved her. He died because he saved her, which is something Rem says herself.
Shinigami exist only to shorten and take human lives. We aren't permitted to undo that which has been fated.
So the whole thing about love isn't actually a requirement, it's just about saving someone's life via the death note. Which I guess I could argue that she was implying that a Shinigami would only save a person if they love that person, which, I mean, fucking say that then? Anyway, we head back to the present where Rem is wrapping up her story. She tells Misa that the notebook she has belongs to Jealous. She also mentions the fact that the rest of his lifespan was added to hers, which has some pretty insane implications, honestly. Like, how many years did Jealous have left? And if it was a lot, like, let's say a couple hundred, do you at some point just stop aging? Or do you age normally for 200 or 300 years? Because, I don't think the human body is built for that kind of longevity, you know?
So what about you, Rem? You're not in love with me, are you?
You really think you can kill me that easily?
Oops, you saw through that?
You know, it's interesting. With all the photo shoots and shopping sprees and hanging out in her room wearing just an oversized t-shirt and underwear, stop staring, Rem, it can be difficult to remember that she's a serial killer, just like Light. But this moment kind of serves as a reminder of that fact. That being said, it's wild that she'd even joke about that, given Rem still has a notebook. I mean, what is it about Death Note holders that make them so fucking bold when talking to their Shinigami? I mean, with Light, I think it's just hubris, but with Misa, well, I think she just knows Rem's as down bad as Jealous was.
At least now I have something interesting to tell Kira. I wonder, does he know how to Kill a Shinigami?
You fucking kidding me?
The look on Rem's face as Misa says this shit is everything to me. She's just like, really, Misa? Really? Fuck you. Anyway, we transition to our final scene, which takes place sometime in the near future. Light is sitting at his favorite cafe, ruminating on the potential ramifications he might face if the second Kira is captured. While he's doing that, we see Misa stroll on into the cafe and take a seat a few feet away from him. And honestly, this is dumb as hell. Not the fact that they're in the same place at the same time. I'm actually fine with that sort of near miss, crossing of paths kind of thing. However, there's a pretty glaring issue that the show is currently omitting, which is both of these people have Shinigami, who apparently are not allowed to ever leave their side. And yet, where the fucking Shinigami at? They should be pointing at each other like that fucking Spider-Man meme. I mean, I know Ryuk says in a future episode that he wouldn't tell Light about seeing another Shinigami, but it'd be pretty difficult for him to just ignore Rim if she walked up to him, because even if Light couldn't see her, he'd be able to see Ryuk talking to someone. Furthermore, since Rim told Misa about Ryuk, I find it hard to believe that she wouldn't tell her that Ryuk was standing right over there in the same restaurant. So yeah, this shit doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Anyway, the episode ends with both of them sitting in their booths, pondering on what kind of person the other Kira is. And roll credits. Anyway, that's the end of this episode. If you liked the video, then consider dropping a like. And if you really liked it, then consider subscribing. Anyway, that's it for this time. Until next week, friends. Peace.